This is QTV News and I'm Mamudu Kajaga. We're coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. First, we'll look at our main news headlines. Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, has died at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. Two suspects are in police custody following an alleged robbery and gruesome murder of a 62-year-old woman in Fajara. President Barrow on Thursday presided over the swearing-in ceremony of two permanent secretaries of the Ministries of Higher Education and Environment. The Minister of Tourism and Culture said the $68 million World Bank grant to the Tourism Ministry will help revitalize the sector and create jobs for Gambian youth. The authorities managing the Abukhan Nature Reserve are worried that the centre may lose its glory due to several factors and challenges affecting the tourist attraction. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. We start with the sad news. An announcement from Buckingham Palace has confirmed that Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, has died at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. Here is a brief report.
Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, has died at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. Her family gathered at her Scottish estate after concerns grew about her health earlier on Thursday. With her death, her eldest son, Charles, the former Prince of Wales, will lead the country in mourning as the new king and head of state for 14 Commonwealth realms. In a statement, Buckingham Palace said, "The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon." It went on to say, the King, previously Prince Charles, and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. All the Queen's children travelled to Balmoral, which is near Aberdeen, after doctors placed her under what they called special medical supervision. Her grandson, Prince William, is also there, as is his brother Prince Henry, commonly called Prince Harry. Queen Elizabeth II was 25-year-old when she ascended the throne in 1952, but her role was to preside over the United Kingdom as it started to share rather than to acquire power, and to oversee the independence of a growing number of nations and principalities. Over the ensuing decades, the Queen would witness the former British Empire mutate, gradually transforming into its modern successor, the Commonwealth. In the long years of the Queen's reign, there have been staggering cultural and technological changes. Her Majesty adapted rather well to most of these, but her genius, it is said, has been in the subtle, gradual process of her change. During her reign, she visited more countries than any previous British monarch, and her visit to West Africa in 1960 and 1961 took in not only the obvious former British colonies of Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and the Gambia, she also became the first British monarch to visit two countries that had never been part of the British Empire, namely Senegal and Liberia. Her reign spanned 15 prime ministers, starting with Winston Churchill, who was born in 1874, and including the most recent one, Liz Truss, who was born 101 years later, in 1975, and who was appointed by the Queen earlier this week. The Queen held weekly audiences with her prime ministers throughout her reign. The Queen was born Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor in Mayfair, London, on 21st of April 1926, and she died today in Balmoral on the 8th of September 2022. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
Our sympathies and condolences to the royal family. A 62-year-old woman was pronounced dead at a hospital following an alleged robbery in Fajara. Two men suspected of what has been described as a gruesome murder have been arrested and are in police custody. Mudulamin Choi has the details.
The Gambia Police Force is updating the press at the Caraba police station about a robbery incident that led to the gruesome murder of a 62-year-old woman in Fajara. Leading the press briefing is the PR of the Gambia Police Force, Cadet ASP Bintanjai Jata.
On Sunday, the 4th of September 2022, around 2200 hours, the Public Relations Office of the Gambia Police Force was notified by the Kairaba Crime Investigation Unit about the gruesome murder of a 62-year-old woman at her residence in Fajara South. 2 suspects who were alleged to be involved in this unfortunate incident have been arrested and currently helping police in the investigation. On behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the entire Gambia Police Force, we wish to extend our sincere condolence to the bereaved and the community of Bakau and Fajara South on this tragic incident.
The 2 men arrested are reportedly aged between 20 and 25 years old. At this press briefing, the police are careful not to reveal much details while investigations continue to unearth more facts about the alleged murder and robbery by 2 suspects. Superintendent Thomas R.J. Gomez is the Deputy Crime Officer for KM.
This case was reported in my office on the 4th of August 2022 at about 20 minutes to 4 in the afternoon, 15:40. It was reported by the deceased daughter. We also have a few others that we are also talking to. They are also helping the police in investigations, like we said. When we arrived at the scene, my men were there before me, and then when we arrived at the scene, the body was already evacuated from the scene. So all we had to do is just deal with the crime scene and then move on from there. So, but we are also grateful to the people, to the public, because they were very helpful in the course of this investigation. And this is why we are all standing here today. We've gone a little bit far now, and very soon the case will be at court. We've recovered some items like mobile phones and some other vehicle keys and all of that. So these are some of the things that we depended on to be able to come this far. And that is why I've mentioned some few items of evidence that we have recovered. And this is what is taking this investigation this far now. And we also want to use this opportunity to appeal to the general public, because there are still some outstanding items that were stolen from the deceased house.
Superintendent Gomez also makes this appeal to the public to report to the police any suspicion of stolen material being sold at the black market in Serekunda.
I am appealing to those of you that are working at the black market to always help us when you are confronted with situations like this. When somebody comes with you and confronts you with an item like this, please report him or her to the nearest police station. There are police officers at the black market. Report to them, or you go to the nearest police station and report. When things like this happen, we will always get a breakthrough in cases that we are investigating.
Due to limited resources, and like in many crime cases, the Gambia Police Force is relying on public information to help its investigations to bring to justice the alleged suspects involved in the robbery and gruesome murder. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
President Barrow on Thursday presided over the swearing-in ceremony of Dr. Yusufa Toure and Aliu Njai as new permanent secretaries at the Ministries of Higher Education and Environment, respectively. Aliu Sise reports.
The appointments of Dr. Yusufa Toure as the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, and Aliu Njai as permanent secretary at the Ministry of Environment followed the recommendation of the Public Service Commission. Dr. Yusufa Toure has served as at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Technology in different capacities as director and at some point as a part-time lecturer at the University of the Gambia. While for Aliu Njai, he had served at the Gambia's High Commission in the United Kingdom. They both took the prescribed oaths of office, allegiance and secrecy administered by the Secretary of Cabinet, Ibrahima Sise. They have been speaking to QTV about appointments and what we should expect from them.
Well, I feel honored and grateful to the Almighty God and to the Gambian people, His Excellency the President especially. It's a trust, and I have no other reason, but to execute it according to law and through the guidance of God, as well. So it's an honor, and I think it's a good thing. I would be more than willing to give my best to the Gambian people.
What's going to be your priority areas?
Well, we have a policy on higher education, on research, on science and technology too, And these policies are prioritized usually by the minister at the ministry according to his mandate, as per his mandate, I would say. And as the permanent secretary, I'm the chief technician, in the ministry, to make sure those policies are executed, accordingly.
Coming from the diplomatic mission for the last 10 years, and then having that challenge with 10 countries that we were covering, being appointed as permanent secretary is something I know is a challenge, but it's something that I'm also looking for, in the sense you come in to serve the Gambian people and also the government of the day. So these are things that my expectations, or in terms of what I'm looking forward is more challenges. Because an institution without challenges, that means you don't have a job. And then the challenges are the job, and those are the things that we have to tackle. It's not at personal level. Luckily for me, I have my honorable minister, who is very committed to national development, and then also the technical team that I have at the ministry, my colleagues, and we're looking forward to achieving the objectives of the National Development Plan.
As you have heard from these two gentlemen, a lot is expected from them, and they have promised to deliver to the expectation of all. Reporting for QTV News from the State House here in Banjul, I am Aliou Cisse.
From that report by Aliou Cisse, we will take a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
COVID-19 is real. Get vaccinated against COVID-19. The vaccine is safe and effective. The vaccine is readily available in any health facility, free of charge. Currently, there are 3 different types of vaccines, namely Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Sinopharm. Hand washing with soap, when done correctly, is critical in the fight against COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently, including every time you enter the home or office. Avoid shaking hands with other people. After you cough or sneeze, and before you eat, use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Clean frequently touched surfaces, frequently with chlorine or alcohol solution. Remember, no one is safe until we are all safe. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Gambia Country Coordinating Mechanism, with funding from the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria. For more information, please call our toll-free number 1025.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. In an exclusive, wide-ranging interview with QTV relating to his ministry, Hamad N.K. Barr, the Minister of Tourism and Culture, said the $68 million World Bank grant will help revitalize the tourism sector and create jobs for Gambian youth. Aliou Cisse reports.
Tourism accounts for 25% of the Gambia's GDP. However, the industry has been under threat since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. In June this year, the World Bank approved a $68 million grant to support the diversification and climate resilience of the Gambia's tourism sector. Speaking to QTV at his office in Banjul on Wednesday, the Tourism and Culture Minister Hamad N.K. Barr welcomed the project as timely, announcing that it will be officially launched soon. He asked for the continued support of all Gambians to grow the sector as he hailed those investing in the industry.
That this project would allow us the opportunity to reclaim the entire Kintakunte Island, which is taking the chunk of the project, because this island was almost lost. We want to bring it back to glory. We want to also reclaim our beaches that we have lost, some hotels that are threatened by climate change, the weather, and the rest of it. We also believe that we can do that. We also have an element under the SMEs. We want to support small scale enterprises who are within the tourism sector.
He said his ministry has adopted new means of marketing Destination Gambia with the current trend of the world, not just to attract charter tourists, but promote domestic tourism, just as in Kenya, which is reported as having the largest number of domestic tourists in Africa, accounting for almost 34% of their entire tourism sector.
The pandemic has given us the opportunity to rethink about our policies and programs and strategies. And that alone, the Gambia specifically, have certainly adopted new strategies with our new policy in place that dictate our strategies. We have, well before, in fact, the pandemic, we have started thinking the new way forward because we believe that it cannot be business as usual continuously the way it is. So, and that's why we are promoting the regional tourism, domestic tourism, to make sure that Gambians become tourists in their own country. And we've seen that happening.
Addressing a cabinet retreat in June on diverse sectors, the Gambia's Vice President, Badra A. Diouf, suggested the need to diversify our country's tourism products to attract high-spending tourists. Minister Ba said this requires having the facilities enabling environment and quality products.
You cannot get high-spending tourists when the facilities are not there. They don't go on charity mission. They go on mission to enjoy themselves. They don't go on pilgrimage. They go on holidays to enjoy themselves. And that's, we have to create the enabling environment for them to be able to do that. And that's why we are trying to see how best we can work on quality and standards to make sure that when you come to the Gambia, you spend your money, you enjoy the value of your money.
Minister Ba also updated us on the progress of the free ecologies to be constructed in NBR, CRR, and URR, for which he laid the foundation stones in 2020.
We had issues with the contractor. The issues have been resolved. We went to court, but we took him to court, but I think he has negotiated with the board. He is resuming work very soon.
The Gambia recorded an increase of 257% arrivals in the first quarter of 2022, with a total of 47,301 arrivals compared to 18,401 in 2021. However, this is a 43% decline when compared to the pre-pandemic 2019 for the same period. There was a significant increases from notable markets such as UK, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Belgium, and Spain. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The Agriculture and Rural Development of the ECOWAS Commission on Thursday began a two-day stakeholders forum on the ECOWAS trade protocols for the free movement of goods across the region. Omar P. Jallo reports.
The forum, funded by UNAID, brought together participants from agriculture, fisheries, the business community, custom and immigration to discuss and recommend solutions to the challenges of the implementation of the ECOWAS Trade Liberation Scheme, the interstate road transit of goods, joint custom controls, common external tariff, and the ECOWAS custom regulations. Justin Bailey, the principal trade advisor to the ECOWAS UNAID program, underscored the importance of the forum, saying it will give participants the opportunity to interact with experts and share their concerns and best practices in promoting regional integration and protocols.
These 2 days will give us the opportunity to explain to the stakeholders, coming mostly from the agriculture sector, fisheries and livestock, to them what all these regulations are about, in order to let them know what is the content, what can be the benefit for them.
Anna Mbenga, the director of Fisheries Department, noted that there are a lot of opportunities in regional integration. However, she reminded that one cannot take advantage of an opportunity if one does not know what is there for them. Hence the importance and timeliness of this forum.
Protocols of trade pertaining to ECOWAS is of importance because it's collectively done and we are all member states of ECOWAS. How do we emphasize and how do we enhance our market and marketing procedures among the member states?
Dr. Amadou Tal, the team leader of PESCA ECOWAS, which is the European Union-funded program for the ECOWAS member state on improved regional governance in fisheries and aquaculture, said without regional integration, individual countries in the region will continue to find it very difficult to achieve serious turnaround of their economies.
70% of our trade within Africa is more than 70% informal. One of the reasons is the problems that we have at the borders. We lose a lot of time, we pay a lot of money, and we pay in the country and the country that is receiving the goods.
Mamadou Ba, the PRO of the Association of Clearings and Forwarding Agents in the Gambia, said matters holding up the proper implementation and observance of this beneficial protocol need to be seriously tackled by both the public and private sector players in all the ECOWAS member states.
When it comes to transit trade, goods moving from one country to the other, definitely the protocols are different. Even though we are all member states of ECOWAS, but our protocols are different.
Tijan Gay, a custom officer at the Trade Facilitation Unit, said there is a strong political will from the governments and leadership of the region for proper implementation of the regional integration program, but the business community also need to understand the ECOWAS policies.
There are a lot of misconceptions about tariff within the ECOWAS region. So we are here, and the good thing is the audience we have. So it is important that we have a dialogue with them and explain to them what are the necessary procedures, how a person or an institution or an organization can benefit from the CET.
The importance of such a protocol to be upheld and adhered to is indisputable, as it is only through regional integration and free movement of people, goods and services that we will realize meaningful growth in trade and business and the development of our national economies. However, this essential aspect of development in our sub-region has still not been wholeheartedly embraced by various players within the sub-region, especially the public sector. Reporting for KTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
The park manager and wildlife conservationist at Abukhan Nature Reserve are worried that the center may lose its glory due to several factors and challenges affecting the once most popular tourist attraction. Babukar Sise visited the park, and this is his report.
Abukhan Nature Reserve is the Gambia's first designated wildlife reserve and a haven to various species of animals, flora and fauna. According to Amadou Sonko, park manager at this reserve, the conservation of the place began in 1967 when a Gambian man pleaded with Eddie Brewer, a British wildlife officer, to shoot and kill a leopard that had been killing and feeding on their animals.
So Brewer was here with his daughter called Stella Brewer, searching for the leopard. So instead of killing the leopard, he fell in love with the nature. So he went back to the authorities and told them that why not we conserve this place for the future generation. That's how everything started. So up to 1977, after the Banjul Declaration, that document give them the power to protect flora and fauna. Right now we have hyenas, which is a dominant species here, and then we have Guinea baboons. We have 3 types of monkeys. Before we have lions here, but unfortunately they all die. Yeah, and then we have a crocodile pool.
The flora consists of a typical savanna and a gallery forest landscape. There are various species of trees in the reserve and animals like monkeys, antelopes, porcupines and several types of rodents. Among the reptiles at the park are monitor lizards, crocodiles and snakes. More than 200 species of birds, numerous butterflies and moths have been recorded in the forest according to officials. Basiru Fall, a wildlife conservationist, explains why tourists and local visitors no longer visit the animal park.
The main challenge we are having here is lack of animals. And if we have the same tourists coming every year and they're not finding any animals here or find the same species, sometimes they will get frustrated and decided to go to another place. And the locals, to be honest with you, they're not. Because, like, as you know, this wildlife thing is not a big thing in the Gambia. And people will see this as a waste of time, whatever. So they're definitely not having, like, locals coming to visit this park. And we will appeal to, like, private investors or government as well to bring more animals here so that we can go back to where we started and all that stuff.
This enclosure is an orphanage for animals that have been rescued from human captivity. They are rehabilitated and then released into the wild, natural habitat. Abdullah Sao, a senior wildlife conservation officer, outlines some of the numerous constraints they face and appeals for support.
Because of the resources we have here, things like, the Saba Senegaliensis, that is the Kaba, for example, a lot of people will, kids will jump over to come and harvest. And this is also used by the primates. They also feed on the same, species of, trees. Firewood collection also is another major challenge in this reserve. Also, we have, several football fields here we tried, the anti-crime, they even came here sometime to help us cope the situation. It's not possible. But the other challenge also is, investment. They can support this, protected area also. We put their billboards. We need, facilities inside. People can use this place as a picnic site and stuff like that. That is how other protected areas are operated.
Some of the few people who visit this place are more interested in seeing the animals than the trees. But with few animals like wolves, monkeys and baboons, Abukhan Nature Reserve, which receives over 2,500 visitors per month in its glory days, is now struggling to get 300 a month, resulting in more expenditure than the revenue generated. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
Well, we've completely run out of time. Thank you very much for watching QTV, and join us again at 10 for another bulletin.